They started disappearing in April, just as the Florida sun began coaxing my roses into their full glorious bloom. At first, I thought I was imagining it. A few petals gone here and there, a stem missing, maybe a squirrel or some raccoons having a midnight snack. But by the third week, it was undeniable. I've lived in this house for 6 years now. After the divorce, it became my sanctuary, my little plot of peace. I poured myself into the garden, especially the roses. Deep red climbers, soft pink tea roses, yellow floribundas that seemed to glow in the sunrise. I even had a hybrid lavender variety my grandmother used to grow. Gardening isn't just a hobby for me. It's therapy with thorns and blossoms. I knew every bush like the back of my hand. I knew how many buds were forming. I knew their schedules better than I knew my own. So when the biggest, healthiest blooms along the outer edge of the yard began vanishing, I paid attention. At first, I told myself it was the wind. Or maybe one of the neighborhood kids had reached through the fence. It's a corner lot, high visibility. Maybe someone had just admired the flowers a little too enthusiastically. But then it happened again. And again, not just petals. Full stems, snipped clean, no tearing or chewing like an animal would do. A human hand had done this, carefully, deliberately. Whoever it was had good taste too. They always took the showiest ones. The crimson climbers near the wrought iron fence, the pink blooms that flanked the mailbox. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I adjusted my routine. I started waking up earlier, walking the perimeter with my coffee in hand. I even installed a motion sensor light near the side gate, just in case it was a late-night thief. But the roses kept disappearing. Always from the outer edges, never from the backyard. That's what tipped me off. It had to be someone who didn't want to be seen. Someone who thought they had a right to the parts of my garden closest to the sidewalk. At one point, I caught myself standing at the edge of the lawn in the early evening, arms crossed, just staring at the rose bushes like they might offer up a clue. My neighbor walking his dog gave me a weird look. I waved. "Raccoons," I said with a half laugh. He nodded politely. We both knew raccoons didn't carry pruning shears. It was a violation, not just of my space, but of my care. Each rose had been coaxed from the earth with time, water, patience, and a kind of whispered attention only gardeners understand. Whoever was stealing them didn't just take flowers. They took effort. They took pride. That's when I decided I wasn't going to just let it go. I didn't want confrontation. I wasn't looking for drama. But I did want answers. So I started keeping a closer eye. I planted a few decoys, extra blooms near the fence, particularly luscious-looking ones, and waited. Not with traps or anything ridiculous. Just a notebook, my phone camera, and a quiet sort of resolve. I didn't know who it was yet or why they were doing it, but I had a growing suspicion. And in Florida, when something starts to rot, the scent eventually floats on the breeze. And just like roses, the truth has a way of blooming in full. I finally saw him. I just returned from the grocery store, arms full of lemons and mulch, when I noticed someone crouched near the side fence. I froze in my driveway, half hidden by the car, just watching. It was Ken. Ken, of all people. 60-something, silver hair, cropped military short, tan cargo shorts, polo shirt with the HOA logo embroidered on the chest like a badge of honor. I'd seen him patrolling the neighborhood like a self-appointed general, measuring grass heights with a ruler, issuing warnings for trash cans left out too long, or fences painted in non-compliant colors. He was also the loudest voice in every HOA meeting, usually about community standards and respecting property lines. And here he was on mine, snipping my roses with a pair of shears like he owned the place. He moved with precision, clip, wrap, tuck. He didn't even hesitate. Then he strolled down the sidewalk, like a man on a noble errand, bouquet under his arm. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I was too stunned, too curious. That evening, I did some internet sleuthing. I remembered hearing gossip about Ken dating someone much younger. I found her Instagram in 5 minutes. Her name was Jacy, blonde, pouty, 30-something. Her feed was a shrine to self-care, protein smoothies, and inspirational quotes in looping fonts. But there they were. The flowers. Every week like clockwork. Another gorgeous bouquet from my sweet man, spoiled half Florida bloom, real men bring roses. My roses, every last stem. The hypocrisy floored me. This man, who fined a neighbor for painting their mailbox turquoise, was clipping flowers from my yard to impress his girlfriend. And she was out here hashtagging his lies for the world to see. I considered reporting him to the HOA, but he was the HOA. Or close to it. I knew his buddies would cover for him. So I decided to collect evidence, quietly. I started keeping my phone near the front window. I even adjusted the camera angle on my Ring doorbell to catch the rose bed. I didn't need long. That same week, Ken struck again, midday Wednesday, this time in mirrored sunglasses, like that somehow made him invisible. Got him. Over the next 3 weeks, I captured 5 different clips. Same routine every time. He'd walk over, do a quick glance left and right, snip away like a florist on a mission, and vanish. I stitched together a compilation, added a calm voiceover, something like, "When your HOA board member neighbor steals your roses every week to impress his influencer girlfriend." Then I uploaded it to TikTok. Just to see. 12 hours later, it had 40,000 views. By the next day, 100K. I woke up to notifications stacked like a Jenga tower. People were outraged, laughing, sharing it everywhere. Comments ranged from, "This is why I don't do HOAs," to "That poor woman, give her a greenhouse stat." And my personal favorite, Ken out here living his florist fantasy on stolen blooms. But the best part? JC saw it. She must have, because 3 days after the video went viral, she showed up at my door. She was shaking, with fury, embarrassment, maybe both. "He told me he bought them," she said, holding up her phone with my video playing. I just raised my brow. "Would you like to pick your own bouquet this time?" She stormed off in tears. A few minutes later, I saw Ken pacing in his driveway, trying not to look at my house. I smiled. After JC stormed off my porch, mascara streaked and fuming, I figured the drama might simmer down. I didn't expect what came next. The video kept gaining traction. People were sharing it across platforms, Reddit, Twitter, even Facebook gardening groups. The hashtags were savage, Rosegate, Ken the Klepto, Blooms Before Bro Code. My inbox filled with messages from strangers cheering me on. Someone even sent me a meme of Ken's face photoshopped onto a bouquet-wielding cartoon thief. It was ridiculous and amazing. Then, things started to unravel for him. First came the fallout with JC. She posted a follow-up video, eyes red, voice trembling, talking about how she felt betrayed and humiliated by someone who preached integrity and community values. She deleted all the weekly bouquet posts and unfollowed Ken. That, for someone like her, was basically a funeral. But she wasn't done. Apparently, JC had introduced Ken to a few people at the local Veterans Mentorship Center, a program for at-risk boys. Ken had been a community liaison for nearly 2 years. A father figure, as they described it in his bio on their site. Yeah. Not anymore. Within a week of my video going viral, the center issued a formal statement. "We hold our mentors to the highest standards of personal conduct and accountability. In light of recent developments, Mr. Kenneth R. has been placed on indefinite suspension pending review." Oof. I didn't gloat. Okay, maybe a little, but I didn't ask for all that to happen. I just wanted my roses back. The HOA, though? That was the real surprise. Ken had been their poster boy. But now, even the most loyal board members were scrambling to distance themselves. The HOA president called an emergency meeting. Rumors flew like pollen that the ethics committee was reviewing his conduct, that he might lose his seat entirely. By the end of the month, he was removed from garden compliance oversight, which I didn't even know was a thing until now, and placed on leave pending an internal review. Apparently, theft of flora wasn't listed in the bylaws, but misrepresentation of authority and undermining community trust were. It felt poetic. One day, I saw him walk by my house, slower than usual, head low, no more measuring tape clipped to his belt, no shears, no swagger, just a man who thought no one was watching until everyone was. I didn't say anything. I just sipped my iced tea and went back to pruning the rose bushes, deliberately, lovingly. For the first time in weeks, none were missing. Every bloom stayed right where it belonged. And me? I'd gained something more than a viral video or social media clout. I'd reclaimed my space, my garden, my peace, my dignity. I'd stood up to someone who believed power meant immunity. And I'd done it without yelling, without threats. Just a few taps on a phone, a sprinkle of patience, and the truth. A few weeks later, a package arrived at my door. No return address. Inside, a novelty pool float shaped like a giant rose. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped my shears. I inflated it and left it leaning against the fence, right where Ken used to clip and snip. Message received.
Hi there. I have a goal to reach 100 subscribers by the end of August. Would you please help me achieve it? Please press the subscribe button. That's all you have to do. Thanks.